Hey there, Mary here, and welcome to A Healing Pause, and I'm glad that you're here. I want to do a quicker version of the pause practice today because I don't want anyone to think that you have to have a lot of time to practice the pause. In fact, it requires no time at all, because the pause practice is simply done in your mind, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whomever you are with. So we're going to do a quick version of the pause practice, and I'm going to do the front of the card, and there are simply four decision statements on the front of the card, which are really powerful because decisions make or break, a heart, a mind, a relationship, a life. Decisions are important. So let's just do those right now. And then I've got something super cool to read to you from the Pause book. About, if you notice, the title today was the answer to this stress thing. In case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of stress going on in the world. And we're spewing it all over each other. And that was an experience I had this morning, is I just felt like somebody was spewing their stress on me. And anyway, we've all been there and we've all done that. So let's stop it. And it's in my hands to stop it, to not have to react or take things personally or feel hurt or made to feel guilty. And you know the whole charade that the ego plays. So here we go. Let's just do this. You'll see how quick this pause practice can go. Ready? Here we go. Pause for inspiration in the midst of everyday life. The four decisions. Pause. The decision to pause, to slow down in this moment. So take yourself through this practice, repeating after me. Pause. The decision to slow down in this moment. Letting the mind slow down, emotions slow down, the body slow down. Breathe. Step back. The decision to get out of my own way. And taking that into the pause. The decision to get out of my own way. Noticing that you are the decision maker. And you can make that decision from a dispirited mind or from your inspired mind. The decision to get out of your own way. step aside. The decision to invite inspiration within into my awareness. The decision to invite inspiration within into my awareness. You can use the word wisdom, a decision to invite inner wisdom into my awareness. Let inspiration guide the decision to choose my inspired mind and follow the peace and the wisdom of inspiration within. The decision to choose my inspired mind, my inner wisdom, and follow the peace and the knowing, the wisdom that is within. You can change up the words however it works for you. This is calling upon a different mind rather than the dispirited mind, calling upon your inspired mind. The place of love in you. From that place of love and wisdom is the place to make all decisions from. And when you forget, you notice you've forgotten, forgive yourself. Just one mistake and move on. Whoop. Okay, well, the phone just fell out of the holder. Yeah, well, all right. That was the 4 decisions practice, which you can find at pausefororinspiration.org. And you can download all of those cards. And here's the deal. I'm going to read a blurb, and if you've got the book, or you can go get it on the website, page 261. You've heard of character defects. We've talked about the cubicle mind, the ego. This cubicle character has imagined quite an assortment of these. You've never seen so many fruits and nuts in one cubicle. It's like a fruit and nut factory. But his most favorite imaginary character defect and his best friend, this is the ego's best friend, okay, ready? Unworthiness. And unworthiness is the proud child of fear and guilt. Fear and guilt are the parents, okay, who are both descendants of the little thought. You have to read this with a sense of humor. The little thought, and here's the little thought, ready? Here's the little thought that we all carry around that is the cause of all stress. Ready? I am alone. You may or may not be conscious of that little thought. It may be hiding away on the different tiers of the ego mind. It could be, tucked away in the unconscious. It could be hiding in the closet of the subconscious, or it can even be on your conscious mind, and then we're acting it out. So we act out from believing that this thought that I am alone, that I am disconnected from love, from peace, from wisdom, from knowing, from this all-encompassing beingness, which is at our disposal everywhere, inside, outside, up, right, left, down. There's nowhere this love is not. We are never disconnected. It is impossible to be disconnected from this love. If we could be disconnected from this love, it wouldn't be love, okay? But we think we're disconnected because we're believing the thought, the little thought, I am alone, and then that causes stress. I mean, think about it. You're on lockdown in a cubicle, you're alone, there's the concrete walls, there's no way out, you know, there's not even a window. Okay, the cubicle was so nonsensical that it didn't even put in a window. All right, so you can read on and on about this in this little book, but let me tell you this. The cubicle self-mind cherishes unworthiness with each fragment of its little mind. And of course, what do we do with that experience of unworthiness? We throw it onto other people. We project it onto other people. I'm not unworthy. You're unworthy. You're the problem. Okay? There just isn't enough the cubicle self can do to support, feed, and sustain unworthiness. To unworthiness, it owes its everyday existence. If it weren't for unworthiness, the cubicle self doesn't know where it would be, and that is because it would be nowhere. There would be no cubicle self. There would be no ego. There would be no stress without this little thought, believing in the little thought that I am alone, that you are alone and separate from love, that you have been kicked out, baby. You've been kicked out of school. You've been called to the principal's office, and you are kicked out permanently. There's no way back, okay? This is the false story, the false narrative of the little thought. It perpetuates all the news, all the hatred, all the fear, all the guilt, all the divisiveness, is believing that you are alone and separate from love. Okay, so what happens? So this cubicle self, heart-divided mind, is experiencing itself alone in its cubicle, squared off, boxed off, cut off from life in the largest sense of the word, okay? And it freaked. And so the cubicle self says to itself, where am I? Who am I? Why am I? Why am I here? You ever ask that question? Why am I here? Suddenly, it was nowhere. It realized it was nowhere, and unworthiness came into its little edgy nowhere mind and promised to keep it company. Okay, so unworthiness came crawling into the mind of the cubicle self who's thinking it's alone and separate from love. And it's like, oh, cubicle self, I'll be your best friend forever. I'm unworthiness. Nice to meet you. And I'm going to be your best friend forever because I love you. Finally, the cubicle self didn't feel so lonely. It found a friend in unworthiness. Well, didn't that just send us all up the creek without a paddle? Okay, so why unworthiness, you ask? Why not worthiness? Why didn't worthiness come along and befriend the cubicle self? Well, because, remember, the cubicle self thinks that it's alone and it's grown dependent upon itself. Okay, it now wants to sustain itself, and it's not interested in anything so lovely as worthiness coming along to help itself out. It's like, no, I'm not going to be annihilated by worthiness and love. I've got my address, I bought my cubicle, I put my shingle up, this is who I am, this is where I get my mail delivered, and, this is it. I'm not going to invite worthiness in. Unworthiness, that's good. Oh, you come on in, we can be good friends. So here's the deal, though. Worthiness could never be packaged in the assorted fruit and nut basket of the cubicle self, heart-divided mind. It simply doesn't fit in. You can't fit worthiness and love into a little cubicle that's believing the little thought, I am alone. Worthiness is one of a kind. Worthiness fills every basket to the brim with thoughts of inspiration, and there is no room left over for the cubicle fruit and nut basket assortment. So when the cubicle self devised the land of inspiration too, okay, it's got its whole little world going on here that has nothing to do with reality. Land of inspiration too, and by reality, I mean it has nothing to do with this all-encompassing love, okay, which is fully available to us right here, right now, all the time. Worthiness was nowhere to be found in this sequel. You know how bad sequels are. Because worthiness lives in the land of inspiration. There is nothing like the original, and worthiness is an original. So worthiness offers us original love, and that is what completely negates the little thought of I am alone. So you can use the pause practice to heal that little thought, that little big lie, that you are alone and separate from original love. And if that doesn't solve your problems, nothing will. Have fun with that.